Oh wow, this is sick.
Right? GM everyone, and welcome to this week's rodeo. We are currently dealing with some technical difficulties at the lab, but in the meantime, we brought on a guest, Jacob Kim, who can introduce himself, and yeah, he'll be joining us for this week's rodeo. We'll get into kind of the history of pump science, what he's working on, and then also hopefully the mice will show up eventually. But yeah, let's get into it. Jacob, do you want to intro yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, I'm Jacob. I'm here as a D-side captain of Super Team Korea. So Super Team is a Solana community all around the world, and we are a team based in Korea. And I'm trying to showcase pump science to the Korean community, what they have been building and what's their roadmap for the future. So yeah,
Awesome. So
hi.
super cool. So maybe like, kind of understanding how Solana is structured with the different super teams. Like not everyone gets that. Maybe you want to describe that a bit.
Well, I'm not an expert on how Super Team is structured, but
Got it.
there's Super Team Philippines, Super Team Vietnam, Super Team in like different regions. And as far as I know, the foundation gives out a little bit of funding. And well, they try to build up Solana community in different regions, and I'm one of
Gotcha.
the effort. Yeah.
And as far as I understand, like super team Germany is focused on builders. Super team like UAE is focused on capital. Is there a specific focus of super team Korea?
Well, Super Team Korea is relatively a new organization. It's been around for a few months, but I think we're more focused on builders. Yeah,
Nice. Super cool.
nice.
All right, let's get into it. Yeah,
So Benji, can you slightly briefly introduce yourself,
yeah,
your
absolutely. So
background, and how you got into pump science and everything?
yeah, totally. So I've been building in DeSci for the past few years. Started at Molecule and like recently spun off Pump Science from Molecule in September, and I've just been kind of building that ever since. Before Molecule was in biotech VC, kind of just like watching, I mean, of course it's like a super interesting space to be in, seeing like the earliest companies coming out in biotech, which ones are promising, which ones are solving really cool technical challenges, especially on like the age of AI, and trying to predict how that will disrupt drug discovery was super fun. But I totally saw some like issues with biotech VC, mainly that like the way that you find an opportunity is very network driven, and it you actually spend like a lot of like human capital and effort trying to find new opportunities rather than due diligence and assess the value of existing ones. So I think it would kind of like, here's kind of an analogy, is like imagine eBay, or
Okay.
imagine like wanting to go and find a new bike without eBay
Hmm.
or like Facebook Marketplace or one of these marketplaces. It's like you have to go call a bunch of people and like your aunt's friend's kid to like, go like it's all network driven rather than having like eBay or Facebook Marketplace where like all the opportunities are there, everyone posts them
Hmm.
there, and then you can have an efficient market. So I as soon as like while I was there, as soon as I saw Molecule like building a marketplace for like science funding opportunities, I was like, this is 100% how it should go. That way we can spend more human capital on assessing the value of each opportunity and figuring out which ones are sus, which ones are promising, and rather than just like being on the phone and trying to like call this person to get in touch with that person to maybe intro you to this person who can get you a call with that, just to try and like find that opportunity they actually care about. And so to me, like that's inefficient use of human brain power, right?
Yeah.
We have technology now, right? And really the key enabling tech there is the IP tokens. So like having tokens that aren't just like meme coins, and aren't necessarily a piece of a company, but rather a piece of IP, right? So I think that was the key innovation that Molecule figured out, and like pump science is just kind of an application of that specifically for like longevity supplements. Yeah, hope that makes
Can
sense.
you briefly also touch on Molecule? Because, well,
Yeah,
some people are not familiar with it.
yeah. So Molecule is like I think one of the original like decentralized science projects,
Mhm.
and their key innovation is like the technology stack that they're developing. So basically, like people know what NFTs are, like non-fungible tokens, and they're basically one of one tokens. And historically, and I mean to this day, like most of them just represent like a profile picture or like a piece of art, right? It's
Mhm.
just an image, which is cool, and like not trying to diminish the value of that. Like it's awesome, and I think it distributes the technology quite well and showcases like how valuable it is. But we have all of these real world assets that could hypothetically be represented with NFTs, right? And so the thinking with Molecule was, what if we took IP agreements, right? So like basically the rights to a scientist's inventions, and we tokenize those, right? So that's the idea with Molecule is like, let's use NFT technology to on ramp like the intellectual property developed by a scientist. The same way like you on ramp fiat,
Mhm.
money into crypto. What if you could on ramp fiat intellectual property and tokenize it and digitize it and fundraise around the development of that IP with tokens? So that whole legal technology stack is what Molecule's developing.
But does that IP represented in NFT have any legal stance?
Absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So that's what makes it valuable, right? Is like that it holds like legal value in the real world and it's enforceable. And so that I mean that's really the key innovation. It's like it's real. It's like it's not just like magic internet money. It's real world hard IP that is defensible in a court of law in a country, right? And so that's what kind of like gives these tokens their value. And we're just
So
applying that technology at Pump Science.
so you were you were biotech VC, which was not Web3 at all, but you discovered Molecule and discovered crypto at that same time period, I
No, no, no,
assume?
no. I've been
No?
deep in crypto for a while, and
All right.
and degening on the side. Like was absolutely obsessed with DeFi, like yield
Okay.
farming on Radium and all of 2020. Just loved it. Like absolutely loved the
I
crypto
see.
money video game. Um, but I've been looking for the right application
Mhm.
of crypto to biotech, and I wasn't smart enough to figure it out. And so I was just looking for every company that was, trying, and they all kept failing. All of them kept like just going nowhere. And they all sounded great in theory. And like, if you sit down like in a room and like it sounds amazing, but none of them were
Mhm.
practically working out. Um, and the reason I joined Molecule and like took the risk was because like a lot of the value in the healthcare industry is tied up in biotech IP. What I mean is like these are some of the most valuable assets in the world, especially in healthcare.
Mhm.
The patent to Humira, which is a Crohn's disease drug. So like a lot of people have Crohn's disease, they take Humira every day. The value of that patent was $150 billion, right?
Okay.
The most expensive NFT to ever sell was Beeple's, which was like 70 million, right?
Right.
There are orders of magnitude, many orders of
100
magnitude,
billion with a B?
$150 billion.
Wow. Okay.
So if you could have hypothetically tokenized the Humira patent, it would be by like 4 orders of magnitude
The
the
degens
most
would go
valuable ever.
crazy
They
about it.
would go crazy.
Yeah, they would lose their minds. Yeah.
They would lose their minds. So this was my kind of like aha moment of like I need to go take a risk on this, even though it's not proven
Mhm.
out. Like this is the right application because the people would go crazy. It would be the biggest by far kind of like market in crypto. That was the thinking.
It makes sense. Makes sense. I'm sold. I'm already sold.
Right? Like it's as soon as like you put the pieces together, you're like, oh my god, oh my
Yeah,
god,
that could work. Yeah.
that could work.
So is Pump Science a subsidiary of Molecule, or are you guys separate entity?
they're separate entities, but it's like the same people that are on
Ah,
both. So like
okay.
Jillian is in the pump science entity.
Hmm.
I'm in the pump science entity. Paul is on the pump science entity. Um, but they are somewhat separate. And yeah, that's just, I mean, there's like a bunch of regulatory reasons for that. But yeah, they're also like kind of different. Like pump science is an application and like user of molecules tech stack,
Hmm.
right? So
Ah,
molecules basically like a technology provider for us. This is just one application, so it didn't make sense to like have that within molecule, right? It's like an application versus infrastructure.
well, I
So
had no idea that molecule was behind pump science because whenever you click the create or suggest new compound in pump science website, it directs you to molecule quote unquote
yeah,
form. So I was like, oh, I guess they're
well
related, and they
spotted.
are related. Yeah,
Well spotted. Yeah, yeah. We're using the same Typeform account.
yeah.
Very well
I
spotted.
wonder how many people were like filling out cocaine math on the molecule forms
You have
for the new
no
compound.
idea. You have no idea. Like minimum 30%. Minimum.
Minimum 30%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it got some more interesting ones than that. We got cat piss. That was an interesting
Cat
one.
piss. Okay.
Somebody wanted to test cat piss. People wanted to test moonshine. I'm trying to remember the most memorable ones, but yes, there were a lot of meth, a lot of cocaine, a lot of ketamine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, as expected, honestly.
As expected.
Um,
So, I mean, the DeFi space has had its ups and downs recently.
totally,
Euro, Riff, they were all the way up to like 200 millions for the most max market cap, but now they've been shrinking a lot.
totally.
And everyone's calling DeFi space scam, whatever. But I feel like the builders, real builders like you, your team, and others, Vita DAO, everybody, they're working so hard, and it's such a big problem to work on. How can the builders in the DeFi space communicate better that it's a real challenging problem to solve and it's worth trying, giving it any. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, like the thing that gets the most attention in crypto is price.
It is.
And so with price comes expectations of
Mhm.
delivery, right? Of value. And the question is like, was the value priced correctly? Like, it's hard to say, but I think what happened was when the price flew, people had super high expectations. When they didn't
Yeah.
feel like those expectations were there, like we're still early, like we only started the project in September. Like, did it
No.
deserve to be worth 400 million? I don't know. Like, I'm not going to say either way, but that's what the market valued it at then. And now it's, you could say like, okay, well, are we only is this project only worth, whatever the market cap is now? It's like 5 million, right? Like the market is constantly repricing things, and a lot of it is driven by more than value. It's also sentiment and expectations and liquidity. Like, markets got kind of crushed. So, people withdrew liquidity from, meme coins and more risky alts, right? So, look, I mean, like the price conversation, like, I don't love having because it's super dynamic and it's based on a lot of factors that are outside of our control. I think the important piece is like we're building our faces off. We're going to continue to build until this works. And people will, you know, think it's a scam. People will buy in. We'll see what happens. But like we are committed to making this work, whatever it takes. And it's because
Yeah, I
like
can tell.
we know that the system is broken. We know that there's an opportunity here, but it's going to take a lot of effort to find it. And it's not going to, like Riff and Euro were our first like experiments, right? Are we going to like make it off the first try? Like maybe, but like probabilities are that we're going to have to keep trying like over and over until we get it, you know?
And you mentioned expectations. So, what expectation should I, as a normal investor, should have in this space? So,
Um,
we're not gonna cure cancer in about a year, right?
yeah,
But what can I expect?
you can expect that we're going to deliver on what we say we're going to deliver on. And so
So,
like
one
we
of
make,
one of your goals end goal was making like an e-commerce store for Euro and Riff and make
Yes,
like supplements
yes.
and sell those supplements to the general public and share the revenue stuff. So how far are we into that goal?
It's, very close. So
Very close.
yeah, extremely close. So we are basically in contracting with a few manufacturers right now to produce urolithin A, and brand it, and basically ship it to anyone, like anyone who wants to buy it. So yeah, I mean, like, I would say shipping the actual physical product is
Mhm.
probably going to take like probably 6 to 8 weeks. But in terms of like having the store up and running, like I would say within the next two to 3 weeks, like we already have most of it already built out. We just
I
have to
feel
kind
like
of
this
like,
is a crazy alpha being dropped here. 2 to 3 weeks, e-commerce store ready to go to production.
look, dude, we're
Oh,
trying to move as
wow.
fast as we possibly can. And honestly, it was one of the big reasons why we
Mhm.
decided to go this route for pump science is because it's so quickly commercializable. Like this versus developing a drug are just like, you know, I mean, you're talking about a few weeks versus like a decade, right?
Dude.
So why, like, if the attention span of most users in crypto is short,
Mhm.
why are you trying to sell a 10-year roadmap, right? Versus like something that we can ship quickly. Maybe it's the right thing to just like keep dragging people along and say like, with hopium, like, yeah, maybe in the future we'll have a drug. Maybe
Yeah.
we're trying to do the opposite, which is like much more the instant gratification, and play into that kind of aspect of crypto. So yeah, I mean, like, look. So anyway, things that we like mentioned. Ooh, it looks like we got the mice. Let's go. The mice
Let's
are in.
go.
Let's go. Like we say we're gonna do a mice experiment. Here's your freaking mice experiment, right? Like we say we're gonna, launch an e-commerce store, like we're gonna launch it. So I think and the important piece is that like anyone who follows, watches us, like participates in the space, holds us to our promises, right? I think that's also an important piece. Um,
And can I buy the supplements, or are you guys gonna do international shippings?
we are, yeah, I think we're doing international shipping. Um,
Great.
yeah. So we'll do basically a set of pre-orders.
Mhm.
There's a minimum order quantity that these manufacturers require. So like they're not going to ship 10 bottles, right? They ask you to hit at least like a few thousand before they ship it. So as soon as we hit that few thousand mark, then we're going to ship all of them.
And what about the legality of the product? Like, so drugs, you literally said it takes decades to get it approved, but
Yeah,
supplements, I guess they're more lenient on the law side?
yes, they are more lenient. There are still a ton of regulations.
Mhm.
There are regulations around how the product is manufactured, right? There
Okay.
are regulations on the supply chain, like how purity testing is done, and being beholden to whatever like purity metrics you are selling,
Like in the
basically
Breaking
putting
Bad,
it.
it's 98% pure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and so like anything you market, like you are beholden to, right? Otherwise, that you're like basically defrauding people. So whatever you say, you have to like, if your ingredients are XYZ, like they have to be that, right? So the labeling is super important. How it's marketed is super important. The regulations there, how it's manufactured, how the whole supply chain is tracked is also very well manufactured. But it is it's much easier to follow those laws than it is to pay for a drug to go through clinical trials. That is just much more expensive, right?
Hmm.
So it's not like there's no like it's the complete wild west. There's a ton of regulations that surround the space. They're just much less expensive and faster to follow than getting a new drug to market. So yeah, maybe
Yeah, I
that's
mean, I think it's a great strategy, actually. Selling your own Riff as a supplements. I would definitely try it out.
So we cannot sell Riff because Riff is an antibiotic. It's a prescription antibiotic. You
Oh.
need a prescription for it. So we're trying a different commercial strategy for Riff. So we don't have the money to do this, but we do potentially have a path to do it if the price of Riff increases. If it does, then we will get enough money to put Riff through clinical trials in cats. So
Okay.
there is some scientific evidence that supports that Riff is effective in treating diabetes in cats. I can send you the papers if you want. But basically, like
I trust you. Yeah.
No, don't trust me. Verify, and I'm happy to send you the papers. We didn't publish them, but there's evidence that Riff can be used to treat diabetes in cats, and so we got the patent for treating diabetes in cats. With
You
Riff.
guys got the patent?
We have the patent for it. Well, excuse me. We've submitted a patent application. We submitted a patent application.
Wait, is
So
it?
we don't.
Is this
it's
a
not
public
granted.
information? Have you shared it before? Okay,
Yeah,
I probably
public.
missed it.
It's all good. It's deep in a Twitter thread. Yeah, no, yeah, it was a very long Twitter thread, of which this was like tweet number 7 of like 12. So it's kind of buried. But yeah, we've submitted a patent application for it. And yeah, if we can get the funding for it, then we'll absolutely run the study. So we cancel that as a supplement. But going forward, we're going to only try, at least in the short term, submit compounds onto the platform that can be developed as supplements. So that can be just like basically a fast commercial path to for any of them, right? Because yeah, kind of coming back to it, it's like these natural products and things that have been approved as supplements are just easier to distribute, and they're just faster, and a lot of them are powerful, right? Like they have real physiological effects. Like, not to say that they can cure anyone's diseases, maybe they can, but they, like, I think people know like natural plant-based medicine is super powerful. It's not as like, it's kind of like frowned upon in the US, which is much more like we need drugs. Like it's either a drug or it's a plant, and like plants are fake, right? But the reality is that like most drugs that end up getting approved came from a plant, many of them. Or at least like, they took a plant molecule, modified it slightly, and then, made a drug from it. So I think all of this is to say is like supplements are super powerful. It's definitely the place where we're going to start. We may move into, like non-supplements, but we're certainly going to start here just because like we think it's the optimal like short-term strategy. Anyway, we got the mice. Should we pull one up?
Let's get the show started.
Yeah. So hold up. Let me see if this is the right one. There we go. So who you're looking at right now is Harry Bonds and Mice Jordan.
Okay.
Say hello.
Hey guys.
Hey fam.
Wait, how do we get this right?
Oh, it's me on the big screen.
Wait, how do we?
There you go.
There we go. Thank you.
We also have Michael from Tracked Bio. Let's see if we can get him up here too. Crashing your party.
Hello.
What's up?
Sorry for the delay. It was nice to meet you, Jacob.
Nice to meet you, Michael.
But yeah, this is, I guess, sometimes, unfortunately, part of the real science. But yeah, we're gonna try and get it ironed out for next time. But yeah.
So Usain Bolt and Elon Musk are the two mice that died that you mentioned, Benji?
Yes. Yeah, they unfortunately passed away.
Should
we say a little? Should we have a moment of silence for them?
Always appreciate it. Always.
Do you have it?
Let me see
the clip.
This is for Elon Musk.
Okay.
I don't think I have the one.
Jacob, we're gonna have a moment of silence for Elon Musk.
Okay, here we go. Oh wait, I think I have to turn this off. Hold on. See if this works.
Touching. Jacob, are you laughing? Are you laughing at the mouse that passed away?
It was so beautiful, it moved him to tears.
Jacob, it's gonna be okay. You don't need to cry. He's on mute. We lost him.
He lives on.
He lives on. He lives on.
In the name of science.
In the name of science is
Yes.
exactly right.
The sacrifice
I
for us.
was just so touched.
Clearly.
We try and do right by our little buddies.
Mhm. Anyway, glad you enjoyed that, Jacob, or at least it touched your emotions deep within.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Is there like don't mind the mice? They're just gonna hang out there if that's cool. But Jacob, did you have like more questions or like things you want to talk about?
I had many questions in my mind, but they're kind of blanked right now. But yes. So you mentioned supplements, and Euro and Riff are your own project, and other recently new compounds are added, and they have their own drug devs. But do you guys really expect drug devs to be able to manufacture and contract supplements and make revenue and everything? Because that's like a hard work, and that requires some professional work and like networks and biotech.
It is hard, but it is not as hard as making a chemical plant, sourcing the material, getting it all tested. Like there are professional services for that, right? They're called contract manufacturing organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way that like we at Pump Science are not running the science, like Michael at Tract below here, like he's the scientist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we contract his company to run the science for us. You can like that equivalent exists in manufacturing as well, right? So we are essentially like as Pump Science, like we are the kind of like the locus of all this stuff. Like we're gonna develop the e-commerce store, and we're gonna like have the live streaming of the different animals, and like bring people into the science, and also be able to like consume the products. But we're not smart enough to be able to run the experiments. We're not smart enough to be able to like manufacture the supplements. But luckily, there are people smarter than us that we can pay to do it, like Michael, right? So
it's all a brilliant group here. So
I appreciate it. But
we're
like
the evil scientists in the lab.
There are levels to it.
Evil scientists and EJ. I'll never let you live it down, Michael.
EJ scientists, yeah, you caught on to that. Yeah, it's been a
You
while.
still haven't brought in your playlist to the RODeo.
Okay.
So.
Next time I'll bring some tracks. Then
we're gonna hold you to that.
Oh,
we're gonna hold you to that.
For real.
I'm gonna text you every single day until I get to see the playlist.
I didn't say how many tracks. But...
Wait, is that why you're tracked bio?
Oh my god!
You see what I did there?
All makes sense. It all makes sense.
I had to take it. I had to take it.
Oh my
Nice.
god, Jill, I'm gonna have to remove you from the stage. You're gone. Goodbye. I'm kidding.
Listen, first
That
it
was
was
a good
for
one,
making
though,
the mouse that always loses. Now it's for making a dry joke. Jeez.
Yeah.
Right into
Tough job.
Tough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Jacob, I hope that makes sense. Like,
that makes sense.
Like, they're not even running the experiments, right? They're not manufacturing the supplements. They're basically working with us, and we work with a lab like Tract Bio and Aura Biomedical and like these other labs to do the science or manufacture the products. And we just get where we try to get the users and like the people that care, right, about this whole engine working. So
what's the role of drug dev? Is it mostly on marketing?
Yeah. So it's, I think it's two pieces. Number one is they have to have an idea for a compound, right? Like what should be tested? What can become a valuable longevity supplement, right? Like they have to come up with that idea. That's not easy,
like
right? Like CAPAS, exactly like that. That was somebody worked really hard, read a lot of scientific papers to come up with that one. But assuming the idea is slightly better than CAPAS, right? Like somebody had to come up with that. And then they may have to make that compound go viral, so to speak, right? So, they have an idea and they want that idea to, spread, right? And so we help them generate scientific data to help make it spread, but that's only going to convince some people, right? That's only going to convince people who actually care about the data, of which that's probably a minority, right? There's going to be a lot of other people that other things convince them, right, to care about this compound. And so our goal is to empower them to be able to, do it however they see fit. If that's making memes, great. If that works, great, awesome. If that's like finding influencers,
Oh.
bye, Harry.
Oh.
Harry. He put up
There he
that
goes.
was a good run. That was a decent
Yeah, that
run.
was a
I'm
good
used
run.
to Elon falling like 2 seconds in, so
Yeah.
But
Do
yeah,
we need to have a moment of
so-
silence? Do we need to have another moment of silence?
Okay. We'll get into
Joking,
it,
joking.
right?
I joke.
You're still alive.
Yeah, every time you mention his
Okay.
name, there's a moment of silence. So yeah, Jacob, it's like it's their job to come up with the idea and then make that idea go viral. If they want to hire a team to like, be the dev for their project, great. Like some people just want to come up with the idea, and that's what we've been finding is like we found some scientists who have like great ideas for things to test. They don't want to manage a token community, and so enabling that type of user as well, I think is going to be important for us. So
Oh, there we go.
yeah, that was Lance Hairstrong.
Lance, better on a bike than on a rod.
Yeah.
My Jordan's still going.
I was gonna say too, Jacob, on top of that, like what's cool about the drug dev is like it doesn't, while we have it as like a person, that person can also bring on other individuals to help support their community. So they're really like almost like, the head of like a, whether it be their community or like a mini organization. But if they feel like they need marketing support, they could bring on marketing. If they felt like they needed, to your question of like support on like the supply side or anything, they could bring on someone to help do that. If they needed support with, influencers or however they wanted to approach it, like they're really kind of running their own like, mini project. And it really gives them the opportunity to, I think what we're hoping with the drug dev model is that, by getting some of the fee sharing from, the trading volume of the compound, they actually have resources available to them to help give their token community an opportunity to grow. So while it might be one person, I think that one person can build a whole community around them, and they can do that with the people that they think are best suited to do that. So I think that's like what we hope happens. But to each their own, right? Like each drug dev has their own skill sets. Maybe they are really good at content creation and don't need that. Or maybe they're really good at the science, but they need support in, the Web3 side, but hoping that they have the resources available to them to bring on the people that they need.
Makes sense.
This legend is going round and round the rod.
I know. He's taking Riff, right?
A single
Why
arm.
is Jordan?
This is a riff mouse.
My
That's a
Jordan.
Riff mouse.
Yeah. Huh. You guys, we
Is he
have
having fun?
What?
Is he enjoying that? Like,
That's a good question.
Yeah. Do you want to ask him?
game interview.
Yeah.
oh, what a
It's a
legend!
nosedive.
It's always so impressive to me how they just like run upside down. They're like Spider-Man.
Defying gravity.
Yes. Are you gonna sing the song, Michael? A good moment. Just I should have put that in the track. Defying gravity.
Yeah. I'll try my best.
So you mentioned that they're incentivized to stay on the rod to not feel the pain of falling.
Yeah. I think it's just like I don't even know if it's like the pain of falling or just like we're all kind of afraid of heights. They just don't want to fall, and so that's kind of their motivator. So you have to have an incentive for the mice to run because they don't just run for nothing. They're pretty smart and they need like an incentive, right? The same way like if I put you on a treadmill, after a while you'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? And so for them, so our choices were either use a treadmill that has a shocking feature and it shocks them into continuously running, or we use fear of heights. And so we thought that using fear of heights was much more ethical. And so we did not opt for the shocking treadmill. We wanted to get a treadmill without the shocking function, and they were like, you have to have it. So we were like, okay, no treadmills. No treadmills.
I think one thing that was super interesting to see too is like there was Elon Musk, literally, there was no incentive for Elon Musk. Like he just refused to get, he was like not going to comply with this program. He would like, we'd start spinning the rod and he would just jump off. And so we were even having to think about showing the data with and without Elon Musk because for him, there was literally, he just wasn't going to do it.
He
So
was too smart for us. He
too
outsmarted the
smart.
system.
Yeah.
I mean,
guess,
a billionaire, no incentive. He was
guess-
like, not going to do it.
His motivator was to actually fall. So that was
Yeah, I don't know if he wasn't afraid of heights or he just like hated running, but like he was not.
It honestly was impressive. Like I think the first time we were like, "Oh, he's not used to it. It'll get better." And then week after week, it was like bloop,
He got like his times went down. Right?
down faster. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, intelligence.
Yeah, very intelligent.
What's the little alphabet next to their names? R, Elon Musk as U, Harry Bonds as C.
Yeah. So R is Riff. So that means that mouse is getting rifampicin every 5 days per week. U is Euro. So those mice are getting urolithin A 5 times per week. And then C is control. Hope that makes sense.
Makes sense.
We tried to make it easy for people to like remember what they were taking when we were putting up the little picture. It was like starting to be a lot of writing. So we thought the banner would help, but I even use it as reference to remember.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that if Rift's price goes up, you guys will have funding to do more cat diabetes medicine. What's the revenue structure of your venture? So is it from trading fees of Rift from Meteora?
Okay, so this is a great question. So you should separate out Riff and Euro from the rest of the tokens. So Riff and Euro were both created on Pump.fun. And so and they weren't part of like the core protocol that we've now built. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Riff and Euro, we had no financial stake in and never bought until like 40K or 40 million market cap after it had already peaked in value. So we actually like those tokens were completely like CTO'd, right? So and they weren't like their trading fees didn't generate the funding for the research. They were more just like experimental tokens, and we've continued to basically support their development. But they weren't part of the core protocol. And so the reason that if the Rift price goes up, we will get funding is because the community donated tokens to us.
Oh, they did.
So they wanted us to work with market makers. And because we didn't have enough supply to do a market making deal, they actually donated their tokens to us to be able to, like basically work with a market maker. And so we got that market making deal, and that deal is structured such that if the price goes up, basically they will pay us. And so we'll use that money for the research.
Got it.
So that's Riff and Euro. With the rest of the compounds that are now getting launched, they're part of the core protocol, meaning their trading fees will basically fund the research. Hope that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and super
speaking of-
grateful to our community, just like a plug for them, because that's like, as Benji mentioned, what's going to continue to fund research. So just really, really grateful to have their support. And based on how they found our project and how long they've been with us and supporting us, like we literally could not advance the science without them for those two compounds. So just want to have a moment to thank them, because we really like couldn't be. And as the science goes along, it gets more expensive too. So I think that's also, the reality of moving deeper in the research stack.
Yeah. Also just wanted to show like, here's the performance of the mice so far. So like each line is a different mouse. On the left here, they're getting control. In the middle, they're getting Riff. And on the right, they're getting Euro. And so if you look, like the average improvement of mice getting control is 75%. For Riff, it's 50%. And for Euro, it's 16%. This data is pretty unexpected, like at least on my side. And yeah, I think I'm trying to make sense of it. Michael, we should definitely have like a longer convo about it.
Yeah.
But I think one potential thing I'm thinking about is like, up here, like Lionel already had a really high baseline latency, right? Versus on the control mice, they had a very low baseline latency, meaning the first data point's pretty low. And so it was easier for them to improve, right? Because they had much more room to go. And so I'm wondering, like, do we normalize basically to this first data point for each mouse? Anyway, because like one would expect, Euro to perform well, right? But these control mice are certainly performing the best. So anyway, Michael, how do you think about this?
Yeah, it's kind of I mean, in a way, it's unfortunate they started out lower, control mice, but I think normalizing is a good call. So I would give it a try and see how the data looks.
Okay.
The Lionel is
Awesome.
actually, unfortunately, was like super good already.
Yeah, totally.
But we can look at some other metrics so we can extract from this, like also the, I guess, distance, and we can think about some other metrics we can pull out. So
Awesome. Jillian, I need your help getting the setup back up. I'm technically incompetent.
Okay.
Star of the show. Hey, there we go.
There we go.
You took the stage for a second.
Cool. So yeah, so Jacob, maybe to give you some context, we test the male mice first, and they go 3 times. So basically, like the rod starts not moving, we speed it up, it accelerates, eventually they fall off, and then we do that 3 times to get 3 different data points, and then we average across all of them, and then, oh no, oh, wait,
Look
he
at
must be tired.
Look at that.
Is that?
Jordan
Oh, he's back.
Back on
sometimes
track.
does this. He fakes us out a little bit, and then
It keeps it interesting. So yeah, we do this with the males, and then we do it with the females after. Same thing. So they get tested 3 times also. Dude, come on, Kevin. Kevin is just making Euro look so bad.
I'm telling you, Spider-Man.
Wow, legend.
Spider-Man.
Legend.
What a
How did he
legend.
stay on?
That's unreal. I can't.
Also, it just looks like he's working way harder than the other mice. The other mice are just like sitting there, like,
He's more forward on the
just like-
rod.
yeah, he's just like cranking his face off.
Oh,
oh,
he's like trying to hold on to the side.
Uh,
No. Now they all go. Here we go.
okay.
Here we go.
Oh, they're
I
all
cannot believe how they recover. They make it look
I
so
know.
smooth. They just like it never happened.
Yeah, like what
so
happened?
impressive.
Here we go.
Anyway, Jacob, what do you think about the Rotarod testing?
It's
Like
fascinating. I'm very distracted. I just can't take my eyes off of it. Oof.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Okay, so let's talk about prediction market that we've discussed before. So initially, you guys were testing the rod mice prediction market with hedgehog market guys.
Yeah.
But now you guys have moved off of it. And what's your plan in the future?
Yeah,
Is
so-
RODeo going to be a part of Pump Science for a foreseeable future?
Yeah, so I think the RODeo is basically a way for us to get people excited about the mice testing, right? For which we're doing this Rotarod test, right? But the thinking specifically around prediction markets was just to create another layer of engagement with the experiments. So like you care about something more if you have money on the line, right? If you bet on it,
Definitely, yeah.
right? And so that was the thinking with Hedgehog was like, can we get people more excited about the experiment and get more funding for the research if we have betting markets around it? And if you look at prediction markets and how they've performed outside of science, right? they've really only worked for sports and politics, right? Those are like the two key use cases for
Mhm.
prediction markets. We thought maybe people will be excited about betting on individual like outcomes for science, but you know the volumes just weren't very high, meaning I don't think people really cared, right? And so there's like a lot of reasons you could get into as to why, but you know we think that there's a few. Number one, for us, the same mouse kept winning every time. So the prediction markets weren't exactly very exciting because, you know, the market was which mouse will win, and it was Lionel Mousy every single time, right? All three times that we did it, it was the same one, right? So it wasn't very like the prediction markets themselves weren't super exciting. Number two is when you have a prediction market, you don't have liquidity, meaning you place your bet and then you have to wait until the markets are resolved, meaning the experiment is done, we get the results, and the results are posted in order to get money back if you were right.
Right.
That's number two. And so like that's not as attractive as just like buying a token that you can sell at any time, right? It's like totally liquid. You can get all your money out, or like, you know, whatever, depending on the token price, like you can get some money out, right? Whether it's a gain or a loss. The third thing is the return profile, right? So if a market is like, you know, 10% odds, then you can make a 10x, right? If you're right.
Right.
Most participants in early, like in crypto, aren't looking for a 10x. Like a 10x just isn't super exciting, right? They're looking for 100x. They're looking for 1000x. That's what drives a lot of the volume in crypto, is people looking for those types of return profiles. And you don't really get them in prediction markets. So, you know, people just like trading tokens. It seems to be the more product market fit way to place bets in crypto. And so, I don't know if we'll continue with prediction markets. Maybe we will. But the people don't really seem to care about them all that much right now. So I think we're going to focus on the trading component and maybe try and enhance that experience, and make it easier for them to trade, make it more fun for them to trade, you know, make more moments that they get excited about trading. But yeah, I think we're gonna like double down there rather than build out our own prediction markets platform, or you know, like really build out the Hedgehog partnership, just from what users have kind of shown us.
And but hamster racing kind of took off back in the day, right?
It did. It totally did.
Why were they able to grab such attention, but our beautiful nice rodeo is struggling to grab attention? What's your take on that? Is it because of the market condition? I mean, it could be one of the big reasons.
Well, I mean, look, the platform, the pump science tokens that were launched did certainly caught attention,
They
right?
did, yeah.
They did. Maintaining that attention is another tough thing. And if you look at the first hamster racing, they didn't really maintain attention either. It was
Not at all.
hyped for how long? Like maybe a week?
Maybe a week. Yeah.
Maybe a week. But I think it was like 3 days max, right? So I think there's a difference between like being able to, you know, get attention and keep it, right?
Right.
And you know, it's very difficult to keep attention in an attention economy where attention's fragile. People are always looking for the next hot thing, and yeah, it's difficult. So I wouldn't say like they're the bastion of like, you know, being able to keep attention, but they certainly were able to get it at first, which is awesome. But yeah, I think it's just a hard game to play because there's so many people fighting for attention, and there's everyone's searching for the next thing. So when your thing starts to lose hype, everyone drops it, and you know, drops the toy and goes look for the next new shiny toy. So unless you can continuously give them something, right, and give them a reason to stick around, and so that's kind of how we're thinking, right? Like how do we incentivize people to stick around?
Well, and I think too, we're trying to find like, I think part of the science is like giving people something to watch and to see and to continue to bring the attention back. But I think we're also trying to think about it in like what else can be out in the wild that will help bring people to the science. And that's where, Jacob, I think the product is like a really big part of how we're thinking about this. Like if there are more people who are just interested in overall like health and wellness who are talking about like a pump science product, then people are like, what's pump science? And then there you have the science. So I think we're also trying to think about ways to make the science more engaging, to make the game that we want people to play more engaging on like the overall application, and then creating more like in real life organic moments that string the whole thing together. And hopefully by having that product that really is like the end-to-end experience, that is actually almost like another way to like restart the awareness funnel and move people all the way through the science. But to Benji's point, I think it's, there's kind of like the shock value that you got from the hamsters, from the initial experiments that we do. And so it's like, how do you continue to retain people? One way is like certainly thinking about more engaging science, different types of science. And then another way that we're thinking about it is that product piece, which we think is so important to really pull that end-to-end full cycle experience together and then refeed hopefully the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
And the product is the supplement as of right now, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing we're thinking about too is like selling like individual supplements and then having like a hero product where like the best of the best make it into like one product that product is like always being optimized based on the science that we're seeing on the platform. So thinking about it in like a few different ways, but yeah, for compounds that we're testing where there is a product, like we should absolutely make it available to people so they can get it and like hopefully start to see the benefit themselves.
Michael, are you okay debuting the videos you sent me last night?
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, like to Jillian's point, hopefully that's a good shock value for the you want me to show it? I can.
I got it pulled up. Don't you?
Got it. Okay. Nice.
Absolutely.
The new fly experiment.
Jacob, so you've seen horse racing, but what you haven't seen is horse fly racing.
Oh my God. First fly racing. Okay.
Fly racing. Okay.
Let the races begin.
Do we need music? I feel like we need music. Hold on. You gotta
No. Here's what we need is F1 sounds.
Yeah, your F1 idea.
You want me to do it? Should I do it?
You are. Jacob, so what happens here is this is called a negative geotaxi test. Michael introduced this test. This was his brilliant idea. Basically, what you do is you have a tube of flies and you drop them so they hit the ground. And as soon as they hit the ground, all the flies go to the floor. And then naturally, I don't know what it is, like, they just hit the deck, they get scared, so they go up. Survival. They just start running up. And so Michael has built computer vision software to track their movement, to see how fast they're moving, how much distance they're traveling, the shape of their movement. And so and the numbers that you can see next to there are their speed.
Pixel per second? Or what is that?
It's their average speed. So it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, Michael, I think we gotta maybe like increase that. Increase that. Or it might just be too much information. But it's basically like I think maybe what we should do is like simplify this into like the blue speed and the red speed.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And the one on the side, the average speed for each vial or something.
Exactly. And just show that real time. So anyway, I think what we're going to test here is like whether the compounds can speed up the flies, right? Does it make them healthier and like be able to move faster and further?
It definitely has a shock value.
Right?
and I'm surprised that Michael just casually like makes a vision software that can track horsefly speed. I was like,
it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's not casual; he's a professional, but still pretty cool.
Just like with one hand, just typing it up. No, it was.
On the other hand, degenning on Pump Fun.
No, on the tracks, Benji, on the tracks.
Yeah,
Sorry,
DJing.
Sorry, excuse
But
me.
yeah, we're excited to debut this one. It's a new platform for us, so yeah, looking forward to doing the horsefly race.
I'm getting like airplane contrails, like the condensation trails, like Red Bull flyover chaos.
Yeah.
Totally.
Awesome.
Anyway, our goal is to like make the whole process of like being able to, you know, bet on which set of flies is gonna, you know, move faster, right? Like more fun. And so, you know, basically notifying them when the experiment has been, you know, is about to be run, you know, bringing them to the app so that they can, you know, look at the historical data and make a educated bet, be able to bet, be able to watch, and then be able to close their position. So it's kind of that like experience that we want to foster for people because it does create value, right? Like all of the trading funds this research so that, you know, these supplements can get developed and we can develop, prove out that they work and that they like help make animals healthier, right? And so, yeah, the burden's on us to like make it fun for people. And yeah, we hope like the shock factor like not only gets them there, but that we can create an experience that they continue to enjoy and that they get excited to come back to. So I think, and there's like a story there of like there's this compound that can like make it all the way to product stage, and like then you can like get it shipped to your house, and then you can hold it, right, and then you can consume it, and then it can affect your physiology, right, your body. So I think it's really that like kind of whole continuous arc and story that we hope will keep attention longer than hams.gg, you know, because it's just hamsters racing in, you know, someone's house, like in their basement, that are being streamed over and over. Anyway.
I think it's very cool from the scientific point of view just to see, you know, it live streamed, and these are validated experiments too. So to add on to your points, there's also that component too.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I actually have to get going to a meeting, but
thanks for joining us.
Thanks
yeah,
for
it
being
was nice
here.
to talk to you guys.
As always.
Always.
Thanks
Nice
for
talking
building
to you,
the
Mike.
tracking software for the fly.
Looking forward.
So cool.
And, yeah, nice to
Same
meet
here,
you,
bro.
Jacob, too.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, take care, guys.
Michael, later.
So, in order to show the whole cycle, like going to the whole product stage, wouldn't it be easier if you guys were to make another compound other than Euro and Riff? Like, say, first party drug?
Yeah.
Are you guys planning on launching any more first party compounds or no?
I think it's possible. I think
Possible.
we want this whole thing to scale, right?
Mhm.
And if we have to develop the community and do the marketing for each individual compound, it doesn't scale well, right?
True.
I think what scales is like for us to build a platform for, you know, health influencers and like fitness influencers to be able to do this themselves, right? That's going to scale this the whole system only works if it's at scale, right? It doesn't work if there's like one or two compounds only. And like if we add a third, right, it's still not going to work. You need hundreds, right? And you need people hunting for the top performers, right? And you need the arena where there's competition. And if we have to not only build the platform but support each of the individual compounds, we're probably not going to do a good job of both, right? And like what we've learned from Riff and Euro is like it is hard. It is hard to do that job. And so there are probably other people that can do it better than us. But like we think we can build the platform, right? Like maybe not.
So how are the people who are gonna run these new compounds and become influencers? How are they incentivized? So recently with the Gossi dev selling his share of the dev buys, you guys said that you guys are gonna restructure the incentives mechanism. So was there any decision on that?
Yeah, not only a decision, but we've already put it into action and it's almost like resolved, which is
Okay.
There were a few changes we made. Number one is we limited the dev buy. The dev buy is
Mhm.
basically the first purchase on the bonded curve that the creator gets to make, right? So they basically get to snipe their own supply at the cheapest price. That was the issue. One of the big issues with the Gossi dev that we learned was that number was too high, right? Like they could buy up a huge percentage and basically dump on the community. which is not okay. Like we don't want that, right? It's unfair. They don't deserve it, right? Like what they deserve is compensation if they help grow the token and they grow the compound. So what we've done is we have limited their def buy to max 5%. We think it's important that they have some token allocation so that they can, incentivize other people and like early adopters and KOLs. And so we received that feedback because we originally were going to make it no def buy. But then, a lot of like really qualified devs were basically like, well, then I don't want to do this if there's a 0 def buy. But they understood our concern and they're like, well, 5% seems like a, happy medium. So number one is limiting the dev buy. Number two is to 5%. So the max they can buy is 5%. And then otherwise, if they want, they can acquire more tokens if they want, but then they have to get it with everybody else at the same price, right? It's an open market. The second piece is we're doing.
Oh yeah, second piece.
The second piece is fee sharing. So if the token graduates to Meteora, then they get 5% of the LP fees. So it incentivizes them to stay with the project, to keep interest high, to keep volume high, to grow the token, which we think aligns incentives much better with the success of the project than just like launching the compound, doing a big dev buy and dumping immediately. Like you can see what happens to the charts if the dev does that. Like it's not what we want. Like we want tokens that grow, right? And communities that grow. And so we think that is much better incentivized if you incentivize them with fee sharing on the volume and the fees than on like buying up initial supply. So I hope that makes sense. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, 5% seems reasonable allocation for the dev to be incentivized, but not enough to dump the whole share to the community. Okay, so dev buys, I get it. But what about the snipers? All the projects that have bonding curves, Pump Fun, Douse.fun, and Pump.science, it all can be sniped. And it just makes the game feel a little bit unfair. Doesn't feel nice. How are you guys dealing with snipers issue?
Jacob, it's such a good question, and it's such an important one. And we have an answer for you, which I hope you'll like, which is we have a dynamic fee on the bonding curve. So what that means is basically when the bonding curve launches, it launches at a very low market cap, 5K market cap about. But as soon as it launches, it starts off with a 99.99% fee.
What? How does that work? So if I buy 1 Solana worth of it.
No. It in order to get 1 Solana worth of the token, you have to put in 10,000 Sol.
Okay.
So what this does is it penalizes snipers. Right?
Then how can early investors, like organic early investors, buy in?
Great question. So that fee drops linearly over time.
Oh, it's by time, not by
dynamic.
market cap.
It's dynamic. So by time it goes down. Right? Because the problem with snipers is they act with speed, right? So you have to penalize speed, right? And so what we want is for normal users to be able to compete with snipers, right? So the way you do that is you put everyone on the same playing field by penalizing the snipers and then by decreasing that fee over time so that it becomes a question of game theory. What I mean is everyone is trying to figure out what is the price I'm willing to pay to get
a Dutch auction.
It's like a Dutch auction.
Yeah.
But it's less, it's more degen than the Dutch auction, right? Because it happens fast and because it's still a bonding curve, right? So we work with a tokenomics studio called Vending Machine. And I only bring them up because they're absolutely brilliant. And what they have discovered is that there is a trilemma in launch pads. There are 3 main types of ways to launch a token: a pre-sale with a fixed price, a bonding curve, and an auction, right? The problem with auctions is you exhaust all of the demand immediately, right? You find the people that are willing to pay the highest price, and those are the people that get in first. So what happens to the chart? The chart gets wrecked, right? Because all those people are expecting the price to fly, and there's no more demand. You've exhausted it all. So that's why auctions are messed up, or like that's the bug in auctions. The bug with fixed price sales is that there's no FOMO, right? You're not incentivized to participate early. If you go early or you go late, it doesn't matter, right? So they have no FOMO, right? And FOMO is an important piece of launching tokens. The problem with bonding curves is snipers, right? And so what we have tried to do is get the best of the auction and the best of the bonding curve, right? You have the FOMO dynamics, but you also prevent snipers, right? With this dynamic fee. So this is like one of our key innovations, I think. We'll see if it works, but it's how we are trying to both have a bonding curve and be sniper resistant.
I've never heard of such mechanism, but I feel
I
like
haven't seen it yet.
so
I haven't seen
new
anybody
and-
else. Yeah, I haven't
yeah.
seen anybody else do it, but it's all a pros and cons game, right? We do lose some of the initial FOMO dynamics because and we do potentially exhaust some of the demand. But is that a price worth paying to prevent snipers? We think so. So that's why we went with that design.
And is it live? Well, is it going to be live
Yeah.
for the new compounds? Okay.
We only used it for the Gaussy launch. And frankly, it seemed like it worked. But the Gaussy dev just stopped. But that was a separate issue, and that happened off bonding curve. But in terms of like the bonding curve dynamics itself, yeah, I mean, like we launched it with one token. We plan on doing a bunch more. But it does seem to have worked, which is exciting.
That's exciting.
We didn't have snipers. John, you gotta help.
Yeah, here you go. Hold on.
I don't know which buttons look like. But Jacob, appreciate the. Oh no, not me. Appreciate the excitement there, but like, yeah, no, we're excited about it too, because like we find this to be like a super interesting and important problem. And if you think about it, like, what does this have anything to do with science? Like, the reality is, sustainably funding science is like, it's all good. Ugh.
I know. I don't know why it's like being so buggy. Let me see.
If sustainably funding science bottoms out at having the right mechanic for launching tokens, then we have to solve that problem. We have to, right? So it's a problem that the whole kind of like Solana ecosystem and crypto industry is like trying to solve. But
I feel like
no
if that model works, it's gonna be pretty big deal for the whole Solana casino. Sorry for saying casino, but I
okay.
feel like Pump Fund could adopt it, and other bonding curve based platform could adopt it, and Pump Science could be the leader in the new tokenomics. It would be pretty exciting.
Dude, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. That's the goal, right? Is like to figure out how to make the game better. And then if that's not it, like being flexible to figuring out what is. But I think hopefully what people see from us is like we're learning and applying our learnings to continue to iterate and iterate and iterate to really try and get to the best model that gives each token and each community and each compound the best chance of succeeding. So hopefully with these next launches, we'll see and we'll learn even more. I mean, I think that's what we're excited about, is just to continue learning, because each one has taught us something, that's for sure.
So how many compounds are in the pipeline for launching pipeline? That makes sense. How many compounds are?
Yeah, so we have
in March?
we've got about, I don't know, like 15 left. I think we're 14 left to launch. 1 sec, I'm reposting them. We got 14 left to launch probably this month, and then we have more that are getting queued already, which is fun. So, but yeah, we're just trying to grow. We want to do as much science as we possibly can, right? Like this whole, going back to the earlier point, like this whole system only works if it's at scale. and so we have to reach scale ASAP. And so we're starting to get the right things in place to enable that. And yeah, so we've got like 14 that are pretty much ready to go, and then we just have to pull the trigger. And yeah, I think we have like, Jillian, like maybe 20 ready to go as new experiments. But yeah, I mean, the goal's hundreds, the goal's thousands, you know, like however many it takes to find valuable supplements that are, you know, worth taking to market.
Benji, we had a couple questions too while you're talking about the dynamic fees. Someone had said, how long does it take for the fee to reach the minimum amount?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's such a good question. And it's actually something we changed. And so and also like one problem here is that the blockchain doesn't know time. It only knows blocks. And so when we first launched the contracts, the time was 250 blocks, which and the average block time on Solana is 400 milliseconds. So whatever that is, it's like, you know, probably I think it's 100. It's 100 seconds. So it took less than 2 minutes to reach its min amount. We got feedback from the community members that was way too fast. Like, you know, we wanted to be degen, but like it was too degen, right? And snipers probably would have still won had there been any. And so we slowed it down by an order of magnitude. So now instead of it being about 100 seconds, I think it's about 1,000 seconds. It's like 6 minutes, I believe, which is enough time for like people to properly compete with bots, but at the same time, it's not too slow that it's boring, right? If it's too slow, then like I'll just wait, you know. But we want people like, you know, they log in and it's like everything happens kind of all at once, but in a way where snipers don't just, you know, make off, you know, with extracted value. So yeah, I think we're modifying the protocol, and it's under audit right now to increase it to like 1,000 seconds. That's 1,000 seconds. It's like 2,000 slots.
And we do have it too, and maybe this is something you can touch on, Benji, where like people see where the fee is at. So it's, you know, they can kind of gauge when, kind of to his point, like when they're comfortable with like the fee level.
Yeah. And it's also important to mention, like that's the bonding curve. And then we have Meteora, right? So we have two markets.
Yeah, we got this. We got this.
Yeah, exactly. So Meteora does do a dynamic fee, and it's why we chose Meteora over Radium. Everyone was like, why the hell did you go with Meteora? Like Radium's where all the action is. Meteora just has superior technology. They just do. And one of the bigger features that we were impressed by was the dynamic fee. And granted, we had this whole philosophy about being anti-sniper on the bonding curve. And then as soon as the tokens hit Meteora for the first two, both got sniped like crazy. Like literally we launched, like the AMM pool got launched on block 0. On block, literally next block, a very well-known market maker sniped 300 SOL of the token. 300 SOL. And then dumped as soon as it got, you know, they decided that they'd made enough money off the community. So what we realized is we had the dynamic fee too low on Meteora. We wanted to like incentivize trading and not like friction. And the price for that was snipers just took advantage. And so what we also did was we increased the dynamic fee on Meteora. So now it's going to be 15% for the first 10 minutes. And all of this is very transparent, like in our app. And, you know, Meteora shows it. So it shouldn't like surprise any users, but it should surprise bots who are just looking directly at the contract. And so we've got the 99.99% fee all the way to 1% on the bonding curve. And then on Meteora, it's 10 minutes of 15% fee. After 10 minutes, then it's 1% for the next full day. And then after a full day, then it's 0.25%, which is like what people are typically used to.
Makes sense. Yeah.
We did get another question, if you don't mind me pulling it up.
Not at all.
The
Yeah, so it
dynamic.
applies to both. Yeah, yep. Great question. It applies to both buys and sells. For on the bonding curve, all fees are taken in SOL. This is also how Pump Fund works. On Meteora, the buy fee is in SOL and the sell fee is in the token. So maybe that's something else to mention. But yes, the dynamic fee applies to both buys and sells. And it's because, and I think there's a few reasons for that. Number one is you want to disincentivize pumping and dumping, right? Like the snipers. And number two is if somebody bought on the bonding curve, if they really believe long-term in the project, they shouldn't want to dump within the first 10 minutes of the market being launched. Like, are you really like a long-term, like contributed community member if you're dumping as soon as it reaches the AMM? Like, probably not. And so we think it's also important to disincentivize that as well. So yeah, that's why it's applied to both buys and sells.
Crypto JZ, thanks for the questions. All good ones.
Great. These are great.
All good ones. Keep them coming too. Like this is the stuff that we love covering.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that our community knows how it works, that it's fully transparent, and what we're optimizing for. So yeah.
But also I think it's important to understand, like, yes, we're trying to like apply crypto to science and like be experts as much as we can on the scientific and health side of things. But like, if you're going to be in crypto, like you have to nail this stuff. Otherwise users are pissed, right? And so we need to nail this and get it right to make sure that the community is happy and that, they get what they want and they aren't taken advantage of. And in fact, they can, play this game sustainably, right? And if they can play the game sustainably, then like we all win. So, yeah, like I think that's been a big piece. Like we have had to learn tokenomics and, are doing our best to level up there because it is a fight for survival in Solana, like with the snipers.
An art and a science. Literally.
Yeah, like you have to assume selfish intentions for everyone. You cannot assume like, oh, people actually care about the science. Like you have to assume they're going to try and extract as much out of like the passionate community members as they can. And so I think it's been a big lesson for us. It's like, we need to have everything tight, right? Like no dev buys over 5%. I know you want it, but like, sorry, like it's too much of a risk to the community. We have to optimize for the community. We want low trading fees, but at the same time, like we got to get the snipers out of here, right? And it's the only way to do it. So we will make that sacrifice. And DAOs.fun and Pump Fund may get more volume than we do because they enable snipers, right? And snipers, like the dirty secret is they drive a lot of the volume. But at the same time, like we want people to be able to play this game sustainably. And unless we have these dynamic fees and like disincentivize sniping. Yes, we may hurt volume, but if we have a happier community, like we think that's what we should optimize for. Anyway, sorry to rant. I could realize I'm fucking ranting. Also,
I loved it. I loved it. I love how you guys are serious about anti-sniping your bonding curve and the whole platform. I mean, I feel like that's the way we should move forward. Not just Pump Science, but the whole Solana community, especially.
Otherwise, you're just giving speed an advantage, and not everyone is going to be able to figure out how to use a sniper. And so we don't want to just, like enable snipers to like take advantage of the normal users. That's so unfair. And also the snipers don't care, like they're mercenary, right? It's the exact people you don't want to hold a large percentage of your supply. Is the people that literally are just in it to extract for themselves. And so we have to penalize that anyway.
Well, speaking of more, go on, Jillian.
I was just going to say too, like we're bringing together two worlds. Where like I really think that part of what we're trying to think about too is like, okay, if you can get people in via the science and they want to start to play the game, like we want to make the game something that's, to Benji's point, not just optimized for the people who can build a sniper bot. Like it really should be a game that everyone can play. So I think for us more so than maybe other projects, like we have the potential to be onboarding people who maybe aren't like in crypto at all or like in crypto already. And so if they see a product and then want to get involved, like how do you design a game that's like fair for everybody? So yeah, it's the two worlds coming together that I think we have the like the responsibility to make sure that we do it right. And even too, like within the crypto community, like, I think we've all kind of seen that narrative play out with like the meme coins. And I think that, different models are due for a refresh. So yeah, hopefully we can, be spearheading the movement. And these are honestly like what these tokens are is like far more than, like a token. There's like a product tied to it, science tied to it. So I think hopefully people even see that these aren't, I think with a bonding curve model, people can think like, oh, how is this similar to like meme coins? And it's couldn't be more different in my opinion. Like there's so much underneath these tokens. They're not at all meme coins. There's science, there's products, there's buyback and burn. So there's a lot that's underneath what we're doing here. And hopefully people see that.
This is the key takeaway.
Crypto JC.
Yeah, this guy's on it.
Crypto Jay-Z is just on fire with this.
I know, he needs to be on the RODeo.
I know.
He needs to be designing Earth the whole game.
Yeah. Come on.
Anyway, but this is the reality. It's like this is ruining crypto. And it's so annoying. It's like such a powerful, promising technology, and like, insiders and snipers just making it miserable, extracting value, right? Adding nothing, right? Just being pirates. You know what? Like, I think about this like two ways. Number one is like, yes, they're extracting the value, like ruining the party in the short term. But also, like, if it weren't for them, like, we wouldn't have an incentive to try and make the system anti-fragile to them, right? So, yeah, like everyone brings up like to us like Martin Shkreli, like you guys should get Martin Shkreli, like he seems to be super aligned with what you guys are doing, like he would be interesting to have on, and like he's a bad rep because he was kind of like the sniper of biotech, right? Or the insider sniper of biotech. Like he bought the rights to this compound and just like sent the price up like 700x, right? But in reality, he was just exposing pharma and like what the same stuff that they do, right? And so,
were you biotech VC when Martin was doing that stuff, or
no? I think that was before. But like, I hated him too. I was like, what a bad guy. Like, this is the worst part. But like, in reality, he was the perfect way for people to like realize this issue. And he was just like kind of the scapegoat, right? But he exposed, and I think one of the reasons why the media came after him so much was because like, pharma wanted to, kind of like put the attention away from them and onto a person. But in reality, all they did was kind of show that like you could do this. Right. And that's all he was showing, is like that you can just buy the rights to a drug and just hike up the price. It's like that is illegal. Right. And that's actually not what he went to jail for. He went to jail for things that were like completely unrelated. And that kind of distracts people. And they're like, oh, he did this scheme in for pharma, and that's why he went to jail. But like, no, he went to jail for like,
that's not why he went to jail. I'm not American, so I'm not really in the story, but I thought he went to jail because he hiked up the price. But I guess those are. I don't believe so.
Let me double check.
Benji the investigator. Here he goes.
Sniper in real life.
Info sniper.
Jillian, were you also in biotech before pump science and all this stuff?
I wasn't. So my background is actually, I spent some time working for Big Pharma. And so I was a marketer for a big pharmaceutical company and helped bring 2 new medications to market. It was super interesting. Just like, I have, like, for me, like having worked in the big pharma industry, like I've kind of seen the whole system and, like seen both sides of that system, like seeing how a drug gets developed, been on the other side of the glass, like listening to patient interviews, like hearing patients talk about what a treatment would mean, hearing doctors talk about how they make prescription decisions, listening to payers share information on how they make formulary decisions. And like the one thing I can say is it's a super complicated system. And there are more players in that system than I think people even realize. So like, to me, part of why I'm super excited about D-size, it's like that system will always play a role. And like, we're not going to dethrone that system. And honestly, I'm grateful for, a lot of the development that they do, but it leaves a ton of space for, like, to fill in the cracks, I guess you could say. And so like, why not create other ways for people to fill in the cracks and do science that they're not going to do is not a priority for them. And, I think that there's a lot in like the big pharma model, like, don't get me wrong, like how there's a lot of strategy that goes into patents. There's a lot of strategy that goes into patent extensions. There's a lot of strategy that goes into when drugs go off patent. Like it really is a whole big thing. But like at the same time, like I have seen firsthand, like teams fold overnight because bad clinical trial data, and like literally the whole like people like crying because they like wanted this medication to work so badly because they were so desperate for something in that space. So, I think just as much as there's like bad, there's good. And to me, like creating a model that fills in the cracks and like does science that people aren't going to do or they're not going to do, and even like use it as like early signal. And I don't know, like there's just so much more that, so much more space to cover. And like, we need ways to cover that space. Like bottom line. Uh-oh, Benji's laughing. What's going on? What's going on?
No, the freaking, who was it? Which mouse was it?
Was it
one of them was holding on
Alex?
forever.
Alex
Yeah, it was
Rodriguez?
Alex. Yeah,
Leonel,
Alex was
here
on there
we
forever.
go. Round
Sorry,
the rod.
I didn't mean to distract you. You were saying
No.
it
Leonel
was-
quits
it was
running
getting
and
crazy.
just spins.
You should have seen Alex. Alex maybe went around 20 times.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
Leonel.
it's crazy.
You don't have to do it, Leonel. You don't have to do it.
But keep doing it. Showing the power of
Wild.
Leonel.
It's honestly wild. This has to be 20. Oh my God. And then back running. Just like no big deal.
So strong.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah,
anyway, I looked it up. And I was right. He was sent to jail for securities fraud, completely unrelated to the stuff that he was doing with drugs. So anyway, I think the main point there, just to like summarize that, is as much as we want to like vilify pirates and like bad actors, they do help the system upgrade. So if it weren't for snipers, and it's a necessary evil, and it helps the system upgrade. And like we've upgraded our system because we've encountered pirates, right? And so at least they did it when there wasn't that much value to extract, right? Like, and so the system can like grow in value now that it's like robust to those small value extraction mechanisms. And it's what will hopefully make the whole system anti-fragile. But anyway, different way to look at bad guys.
And thanks to Julian, I didn't know that biotech teams would sometimes cry over some clinical data or tests.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think what people don't realize is a lot of those companies spend a lot of time talking to patients and doctors and insurance companies to like figure out the whole disease landscape and the treatment landscape. So then when there's a product coming to market, they have an idea of like how to set it in that market. And like literally part of my job was like sitting behind the glass, listening to doctors and patients like talk about what it was like having, different diseases and like dealing with that disease and what it means and the treatment options, how the treatment options make them feel. And there's just a lot. There's a lot. And I mean, part of like what they're thinking about too is like, like trying to have like, yes, they are trying to have impact in spaces where it does touch a lot of lives, like Alzheimer's. I think the reality is like, we all know somebody who probably has Alzheimer's. And so, like what it would mean to a lot of people to have some sort of treatment in a landscape where I think there's like 6 options and, not a lot of meaningful options. Like it would be really profound. So, but what I think that also leaves is like, like they're really focused on that. So like, why not us be focused on aging? Like why not us be focused on a space where they're not focused? And I totally recognize too that like a lot of the system is like, yeah, they treat you when you're sick. So then, okay, well, let's fill in the cracks and like try and help people from getting sick, but yeah, I think that they're always going to be there. They're always going to play a role. And I just think we need ways to fill in the cracks. And that to me was like, when I learned about DeSci, I was like, how cool that there can be alternative systems that we can develop. And it brings together like, you know, a lot of where I think tech is headed, you know, like crypto is becoming, you know, I hope more and more and more, obviously in the United States, they just announced the reserve. But like, I think also too, there's like AI and like the way that drug development, compound development, hopefully it needs to get faster and it needs to use new technology. And like having been in one of those systems, it's having worked in big pharma, it's so hard to implement like new things like that really quickly. So we get to like experiment and iterate and be on the ground floor of this technology, which I would hope even would inform how they're thinking about it. Because like you're literally steering a huge ship where we can like move a lot faster. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just super excited about what we're doing because it really to me is like, obviously it's like a niche where it's like, you know, a lot of people are maybe just learning about crypto in general, but like, I feel like DeSci can touch, I mean, it literally can touch every life. It's like for people. And so it brings together crypto and like real world stuff. Like there's to me like no better use case. So I don't know. I can get off my soapbox, but yeah, I don't know. I think what we're doing, it's going to be hard because you're kind of in an entanglement of like a few different systems, you know, like the drug development, the research and discovery, crypto. But man, if you can cut through that, like Benji said, the opportunity is huge. It's just finding the ways to do that. So yeah, it's we're up for the challenge. It's a challenge, but like we're up for it. And it's not for the faint of heart. But you know, I think a lot of people have said from in our community, like we're so early to DeSci, like so early.
We are, yeah.
Like really early, but I think, you know, each time it's getting bigger and bigger. And yeah, now more than ever with all the policy stuff, like there's even a bigger need. So I don't know. We're up for the challenge and we're not going to stop until we get it right and have impact. And people are walking around out there with pump science supplements and they're living longer, healthier lives. Like that's not going to stop till that's a reality.
How many team members are on your pump science team?
So we
Is
have
it just
four
you
core.
two?
No,
Oh.
it was for a while. It was
Okay.
like a month ago. Our third hire was a content creator. He goes by Crow.
Crow.
He's awesome. He's a beast. He does much more than content creation. But yeah, he was our third hire. About a month ago. A few weeks ago, we hired a guy who's an expert on e-commerce and supplements. And he also happened to work at Synthetics. So like he has DeFi experience. So yeah, he was our fourth hire. So the team is now 4 core team members. We work with a dev shop called Builders, and they build all the tech. And so like, yeah, basically I work with them. I like kind of lead product for now. And they build everything tech wise.
Interesting.
And so that's
Yeah,
the team.
it's been a aggressive, what, like, is it 6 months now?
Yeah.
It's only been 6 months?
Yeah,
Not
It's
even.
crazy.
not even. I was gonna say.
Not even.
Since the launch of Pump Science?
Yeah, dude.
I feel like it's been such a long time ago.
Dude, it feels like 87 lifetimes.
Yeah.
I've aged 40 years and 5.5 months.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it
Yeah.
for the cause. For the cause.
We've been grinding. But yeah, as you can see, like we think that there's so much potential impact here. It kind of just like sucks us in, and we're doing our best and just putting our whole heart and soul into it. So, yeah, it's been great.
I
On
think
a more
I was gonna
casual
say,
note. Oh,
real
sorry.
quick, I was just
You
to say
were
the one
gonna
thing
say?
that I think is cool is like when I tell people about what we're doing, I think because there's like this science component, people are like, oh, I've never thought about like crypto in that way. Like that's super cool. Like that's something I can get behind. And so because I worked in the DeFi space for a bit, and like it's really interesting. Like as I've shared various work that I've done or things I've been interested in crypto, like really and truly I feel like for the first time, like when I talk to my family about it, they're like, oh, I actually like that's cool. I understand that. Like way cool. So I think that there's a lot of people that aren't in the Web3 space who can actually really quickly connect with like what we're doing. And I hope we can bring more of those people in, like really and truly more of those people in to Pump Science.
Are you guys gonna raise any more funds, or are you guys all set for now?
We'll see. I think we're trying to figure out how to make it financially sustainable without needing to
Will
raise.
there ever be Pump Science official token?
We'll see. I don't think so.
We'll see.
I don't think so for the foreseeable future. We think it would be a bit of a distraction, both for our users and for us. We want people focused on the science and the individual compounds that are getting released. Our community is very adamant on us launching a platform token, but we think it would actually not be best for the system overall to do that. Could be wrong, but that's our running hypothesis. So yeah, we'll probably hold off on that.
And are you yourself are you on any trying to live longer? Are you on any longevity protocol?
Oh
Yeah,
gosh, don't get Benji started on his stack.
Yeah.
You have your own stack. Let's go.
Oh,
Here,
look at that
actually,
stack.
I don't have any water to wash it down, but I take like basically, I don't know, what is that, like 15, oops,
Oh
like
dear.
15 pills a day.
Tell me about them. What are they?
So we got calcium, magnesium.
Okay.
I have osteoporosis in my family, so trying to make sure that like I build enough bone. Fish oil, it's just good for brain health. Pretty common. We've got acetyl L-carnitine. It improves, it improves how your brain or your mitochondria absorb fats. So basically, like it makes it easier to burn fat, essentially.
How do I spell it?
Acetyl, ACETYL,
Okay.
carnitine, also known as Alcar.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's really definitely not. We got this is choline. So choline is a precursor to acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter, which just like basically helps you think. Like thinking is a chemical process. This is like a precursor to this is thought in a pill, basically. What the hell is this?
Do you have one for memory?
No, it's just like so many of them are just like white pills. Like,
yeah.
What are you?
Does it have a smell?
Sorry. I'm so sorry. This is L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine is a precursor to serotonin. So it just helps with like overall like mood levels, basically. And then we've got this is Rhodiola rosea. It's a plant that that gives you great energy. Like it's a great nootropic. So some of these are like lifespan. Some of them are nootropic. My grandfather got Alzheimer's, and it's a huge fear of mine. Just watching how that played out, and so I'm trying to like prevent it by taking what I can, basically in advance. But anyway, urolithin, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Is it the pill that's gonna be on Pump Science store?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. And then okay, I'm blocked by.
Well, I'm gonna take my stand.
This is ashwagandha. It's good for sleep. It's a root. We've got CoQ10, coenzyme AQ10, and it helps with heart health. And then saffron extract, also nootropic. There are studies that it is as effective as Ritalin in kids for focus. Saffron. Who would have thought? Big Pharma doesn't want you to know that. And then I think this is like God, there's so many. I'm spacing on all of them. I think this is like seaweed. Oh no, this one's shalajeet. It's a mushroom. It's a mushroom. Also, good. It's anti-inflammatory, I think, and yeah, also just like potent nootropic. Anyway,
As
Then
Crypto
you take-
Jay-Z said, yeah, please tweet the whole list, please.
tweet the whole stack.
Tweet the
Okay.
Yeah,
stack.
whole stack.
Dude, you got it.
Tweet the
But
stack.
but by the way, the goal of the platform is to turn this all into one thing that you just take every day. And you don't have to order all these different things and like, oh, you ran out of one, you got to replace that one, but just like get a master mix that you can just take a scoop of, put it into water and just like not have to think
Isn't that
about
what
it.
Brian Johnson is trying to do with his
Somewhat.
stack?
It is. The only issue is that how do you know that it works? It's kind of just trust me, bro.
Yeah, a lot of
Right?
he talks a lot about data, but I mean, obviously he is like a data machine, but when you look at like the data that he's talking about, a lot of it is like quality data. Like it's been tested, we know it's the best. And like obviously quality is very important, but I think like, what would be really interesting is like more mass data or like more data than on just him. Because like obviously he is very optimized as well. So I think like how does that apply to like someone who is not as regimented or optimized? Would be super interesting. But yeah, a lot of the data that I've seen him referencing on the product specifically isn't necessarily like efficacy and is more just like we've had this like tested and it took us 18 months to find the best product, like the best ingredients for the product, which we hope to deliver on as well, obviously. But like we also hope that like when you open up the box, you can see all of the data that actually is in the supplement that you're taking that has gone through the protocol and continue to build data. Like, why not let everyone in on being a part of this like decentralized study? If they're going to be taking it anyways, they're probably wearing, maybe an Apple Watch, some sort of like device, or like we have a partnership with Pulse.
Pulse,
in
right?
this,
Yeah.
in the Solana ecosystem. Like, why not let people who want to take it also contribute to the ongoing data to continue to help us like see how it works?
Speaking of data, were you guys ever able to do human level research with Pulse for like Euro?
You're like,
So
it's coming soon.
it's coming.
It's coming soon. Okay.
Yeah. They are still shipping their devices and setting up their hub. And we are busy getting a hold of actual Eurolithinae. So yeah, they have to ship on their side, we have to ship on our side. Hopefully, I think it'll be a great partnership. We're really excited about it. They're super excited about it. It's a great use case for their device, right? And so, yeah, like I would say like I think they've quoted us May for the study. So hopefully around like, are you going to go to Solana Accelerate?
Maybe.
Okay. Anyway, around then we'll probably launch it.
Interesting.
That's the
Okay.
goal.
May.
Give Eurolithinae to people, have them wear a pulse, see if it improves their VO2 max, which is like, a measure of cardio fitness. Can you improve your cardio fitness with a pill? That will be the test.
Are you guys gonna have like your own booth in Solana?
I think so.
Accelerate?
Yeah,
Why don't you just set up like RODeo for people?
Dude, we were thinking of bringing a treadmill.
Oh, you are okay.
Better than RODeo. People.
Yeah.
Put people on treadmill and just
Get your VO2
Exactly.
max. Let's go.
Yep, that is what we're thinking exactly.
very excited.
Whatever
yeah,
it'll
we're
take to get you.
Well, I was going to say that we're planning on hopefully having some DeSci talks during the Solana Accelerate like main event, and then having a full DeSci science fair, as we would call it, where a lot of DeSci projects have booths, and you can just come learn about the projects, and there would be various talks throughout the day. Right now, we're targeting May 19th, so that would be for the science fair specifically, which is actually before. There's two parts of Solana Accelerate. There's Scalar Die and Shipper Die. Scalar Die is builder focused, which happens first, and then ship or die is actually more like, I guess like user focused. Ship or die off the top of my head is May 22nd and 23rd. So our science fair will happen hopefully in between build or die and ship or die. But yeah, hoping to bring in all, like obviously ourselves, but honestly, a lot of DeSci projects that are building in the ecosystem to create more awareness just for what everyone's doing in general. So would love to have you there, Jacob. And yeah, to Benji's point, we're trying to think about like, what could we do beyond just a booth? Like we would love to get people, maybe have like, do we have like some event where people get their baseline VO2 max and then can jump into the study? Or I don't know if Michael would let us bring the mice out to play, but we'd have to talk to Michael, but take him on a field trip. But no, that's something.
Can we play with the mice, please?
Can we please take the mice out for a play date? Come on. Who would sign the permission slip? I don't know.
I don't know.
Although I think New York probably has enough mice that we could use. So.
Oh, true. Out of the dumpster and into accelerator.
Hopefully it's getting better. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm super excited for you guys to see you guys on Solana Accelerate if I do go there, and about the whole future of DeSci and pump science especially.
Awesome. Yeah, no, super fired up that you're like kind of captaining the DeSci track for Korea, for Super Team Korea. So just let us know how we can be helpful. I also saw you were working on an agent. Is that right?
Yes. AI agent. I tried to go through all the longevity related papers on bioRxiv and other
Publications
for archives.
Yeah.
But I've hit a wall because I feel like AI, in order for AI to be relevant, it needs data from actual wet lab, not just reading data from papers. So I guess pump science and how you guys operate really, it inspired me a lot. And I think we could do something.
Can we?
Jacob, like with the challenge that you're talking about and like having, learned more about us for the last while, like what do you think that could look like? Because we have our own ideas, but we've been trying to think about like, is it an agent? Is it using multiple agents? Is it us building an agent? Do we bring in, other agents? I would just love to hear from someone who's tried and is building an agent, like knowing our model, what you think would work.
I wish I had a great answer for that,
Yeah,
but
no,
I don't
and there's
know.
no right answer too. I think it's just like we're curious to get more data points because like there's how we've thought about it, but yeah, just like from someone who's been working on an agent in the wet lab.
So AI agent can distill a lot of data from other researchers and make its own hypothesis, but it has no way of testing its hypothesis. So I was thinking maybe I could test these hypotheses with mice, worms, flies in a lab like Michael. That was my idea. I don't know how feasible it is for me, but yeah, that was me. So if you guys build like a platform that we can give you our token, and in exchange for that, you can set up a whole like experimental platform. I guess that could work, but I'm not sure.
I'm just confused because it seems like we already have. Like, basically, the hypothesis that the agent
Is the
creates
compound, right?
is the compound, right? And then, people can help fund the project, the experiments. And then
But the agent spews out like hundreds of hypotheses, and I have to go through them manually, and I don't know which compound
But you can
for applying.
Have the agent prioritize.
Could do that. I need to work on that more. Yes.
Right? It's like you're 100% right. I mean, there's infinite, like not infinite, but like basically infinite number of things you could test, right?
Right.
But we live in a resource constrained world. What do you test first, right?
So how do you guys select which compound to be on the
So we're
platform?
trying to get drug devs to submit their own, right? Because like I don't know if we're going to come up with the best idea to answer that question.
No,
And
but
so
you guys will have to select which drug devs are kind of worthy. No?
no,
Oh, okay.
we
Yeah,
don't
I
want to
thought
be a
if there
filter.
was like some kind of selective process in it.
No, like the only thing that there's two like checks that we do. Is it safe? Like for the animal that we're testing it in, and it can't be a controlled substance. So of those two things, and if we can get it, we will test it. But I think it's an open arena. And to Benji's point, like the way that the model works is like the drug dev submits the idea, we do those checks, and if that checks out, then they pay 3 Sol to run the experiment with
Wait,
like
it's
on
just
the
3 Sol?
3 Sol, baby.
3 Sol.
That's so cheap than I've ever imagined. That's a lot cheaper than I've imagined. Wow. Okay.
3 Sol. And then the experiment gets run on the worms. And then once that experiment is done and QC'd, then that's the moment where the token launch happens. Reason being that first moment of a compound launching is so important. And so we are running the experiments, QCing the data, and then getting them ready for streaming on the platform. When the token launches, if it bonds, then the person who submitted the compound gets the 3 Sol back. And then obviously there's the dev buy and then the fees that we spoke about. So that's like the process for submission. So just those checks, if people want to test something, a 3 Sol kind of initial deposit, and then if the token bonds, they get that 3 Sol back. And then they can purchase 5% of the compound tokens, and then they get the fee sharing from the trading fees of the token.
But as you know, we have a small AI agents group chat that you've made. A lot of AI agent projects, they already have their own tokens. And if they make another token on Pump Science, it's not going to work out. The communities will be riled up unless we do some kind of airdrop to the old community
Exactly.
members.
Exactly.
I guess
So
we could do something there.
you have a few options there, right? Number one is yes, you airdrop a tiny amount of the token to each person, right? Because when you take how many tokens you can get and how many token holders you have on your agent, you have like small bits and pieces. The other is the DAOs.fund model. I don't know if you're familiar with DAOs.fund, but basically what they do is it's basically like the agent, it controls the funds for the DAO, right? And builds a treasury.
Mhm.
And so what you can imagine is an agent that develops its own drug pipeline, right? And it holds all the tokens. And basically the people who hold a token in the agent can get access to all of the tokens in its treasury. So all of the drugs, basically. So you can either airdrop it or you can go with the DAOs.fund model where it just builds a treasury where the token represents a claim on a piece of that treasury. So you have both.
Has anyone worked on it? Or are you
I mean,
talking to any other AI agent projects about this?
We're talking to a few. It's been very
Few?
hard to motivate somebody to like actually put in the time to build something like real. And so, kind of going back to your question, like, why don't you guys just submit your own compounds as Pump Science? Like, why don't you guys build your own AI agents? It's like, we want to enable other people to do this. And we don't have the time and expertise to solve all these different problems, right?
Mhm.
And so we want people like you who think deeply about this and are curious enough to like try build something to just give you the tools to integrate, right? And so, the one agent that's probably the furthest along is Big Pharma, right? And so the drugs token. So I would say like they're the furthest along in this. And our goal is for them to just submit a ton of compounds to Pump Science with their AI agent framework. And yeah, build their own pipeline with their ideas. So yeah, rather than airdrop tiny bits and pieces of each token to all their existing drugs token holders, you just hold the drugs token and you get exposure to all of it.
I'm so inspired right now. I feel like this could be something big hopefully. Yeah, but yeah, wow. Okay.
So if you're so inspired that you want to come build this, like, we would love to build with you,
Okay.
and we're here to help make it work. We have the data for APIs. We can figure out how to programmatically get compound
Mhm.
submissions from you. We can figure out how to programmatically send you data back via an API. Our goal is to make this whole system open and make agents, ideally the power users of this whole platform, right?
Then if this whole thing plays out, we can have hundreds, if not thousands, of compounds on the platform.
And hundreds,
being
if not
tested out.
thousands, of
Yeah.
agents competing against each other to come up with an ingredient that should go into that master mix that humans just take every day.
Munch on it. Yeah.
Munch and
Munch on
it's
it.
always, and these AI agents are just like optimizing that cocktail. And we're just sitting on the beach, chilling out, taking scoops of longevity powder that a bunch of AI agents chefed up.
And Brian Johnson will reach out to us. It's like, what's
Exactly.
the cocktail? What's the sauce?
Exactly.
Well, it's all open. It's gonna be
all
open source.
open.
Yeah.
It's all open. And that is the point, is it's not trust me bro science. It's like literally done by the community for the community, and everyone gets completely open data. And the way the whole thing monetizes is through the trading, right? Rather than the IP. And like, the IP is enforced on the distribution layer, right? And like, we're gonna have buyback and burns of the product sales for the tokens, but the IP is not the data, right? The IP is the products, right? The things that people actually buy, not the data that supports that it's worth buying. That we want to make open. It will be a much more efficient system if it's open. Anyway, we have a better chance of living forever if it's open. So anyway,
That's what we're here for.
Jacob, thank you so
Awesome.
much for talking to us.
Well, thank you for inviting me to this rodeo and everything. It's been like 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to go to sleep. But
Appreciate you.
it's
Yeah.
fun.
Sticking with us. I know it's late your time, so really, really appreciate you jumping on and having like an extended conversation with us. Like I think this is the thing that we also want to do more of, is like, there's what we're doing, like certainly what we're doing, but then helping other people think about like how they can integrate or build on top of or build, with us to make even more compounds, even more data, and really make the system grow exponentially. So yeah, it was even eye-opening for me, like hearing what you're building from like an AI standpoint, because these are the conversations we want to be having to make the engine bigger, better, faster, stronger. Go get some Z's.
Yeah, go to sleep, Jacob. Happy Saturday morning, bro.
Yeah. It was great talking to you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Good luck on
Thanks
your
everyone for
endeavors.
watching.
Thank you.
I got you, bro. We'll talk soon, homie. Peace.